If you're hearing, I gotta talk to my husband, I gotta talk to my spouse, I gotta talk to my cousin, I gotta talk to my mom's uncles, cousins, brothers, cousins, little sisters, and uncles. If you're hearing all that stuff, guys, that only means one thing. The customer is not sold yet. They're not buying what you're selling. They might like you, they might like your work, you might have nice photos, you might have a good reputation, but there is something that's holding them back. There's something holding them back. That's why they're telling you they have to think about it. That's why they're telling you they're making an excuse so they don't have to sit there with you fighting. You're trying to sell your services and they're trying to buy services, but they want to make sure that they get the best photographer for the best deal. And you want to make sure that you get the best deal for your photography work. And it's like a tug of war. But again, when you hear things like, I have to run it by this one, I have to run it by that one, I have to check my bank account and see what's in there. Guys, if you hear that, that only means one thing. The customer is not sold. There is something that's holding them back. And you, as a photographer, you have to find out what's holding them back. And this is where most photographers will be like, okay, you want to think about it? Sure. Yeah, no problem. You can think about it. Here's my card. Here's my number. Call me or whatever. And they might get a little scared. They might not want confrontation. They might not want to talk to the customer. They might not be looking in their eyes because, guys, most photographers, we're all artists, but most of us are not very business savvy. We're very good at our arts and what we do. We're very good at being an artist. We're very good at being so picky and so perfect and so in control of our art. But when it comes to talking to a customer and you're hearing things like, I have to think about it. I don't know about you, but when I would have customers say they want to think about it, in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, something is up. Something is up and I have to find out what it is. Because if you have decent work, just like another photographer, if your prices are around the prices of everybody else, whether you're in the low end, on the high end, you're somewhere in there, there's got to be something there, guys. And that's where you need to find out. You need to find out what is on the customer's mind. What's holding them back. We need to find out what it is. Because a lot of the times, guys, these objections, this objection or these objections are sometimes something very small and very simple. As a matter of fact, most of the time, these objections are things that we can kind of nip in the butt ourselves and we can kind of put the customer at ease. I want to talk to you guys about what you say to a client or to a potential customer when they say, oh, I have to think about it. We do that ourselves. When you go to Best Buy or when you go to buy a car, you go look at a car, we go look at a furniture. We tell the salespeople there, let me think about it. Let me call my spouse. Let me see. Basically, you're saying, let me see how I can get out of here without you noticing, because I don't want to buy yet because I'm not 100% sure if you sold me 100%. I need to know. You see what I'm saying, guys? So when a customer says, I want to think about it, all right, you've either talked to them, whether it's on the phone, guys, whether it's in person. And by the way, that's definitely a tip. Whenever possible, try to speak to clients in person. Try to speak to clients in person the best you can. Especially guys, if you're doing events, when I do events and I'm doing quinceañeros and I'm doing weddings and I'm doing those events like that, I make an appointment for my customer to come in and sit down with me, so they can kind of take the edge off, sit down. They can start appreciating the work that we can present to them. And then we also have a nice controlled environment where we can talk to the customers. They can see us. We can try to build rapport, and it's just a lot better. But I know nowadays a lot of things are done, in Zoom calls and FaceTime calls. We're living in 2022 and it's fully understandable, but you can still apply what I'm going to tell you, whether you're speaking to a customer in person or whether you're speaking to them via the telephone. You need to find out what's going on. You need to dig further, and you need to find out what's keeping that customer from buying from you. And a lot of the times there are things that we can do to go ahead and put the sale together. Sometimes you might hear something that we might not be able to close every single customer, but we can close most customers. And this is how you do it. When a customer tells you, let me think about it, this is what you need to say. You need to look them in the eye. You need to tell them, you know what, Mr. Customer, no worries. I totally understand, right? Guys, go right on the customer's side. I totally understand. No worries. Listen, Erica or Mr. Customer, listen, this is a big deal, you know, hiring a photographer for your event or for your children's photography, for their senior photos or whatever it is. You know, it's a big deal. No matter what the reason is, it's a special occasion why you're hiring a photographer. So it's a big deal. So I totally understand why you got to think about it. I totally understand why you want to talk to your husband. I totally understand why you want to talk to your mom. I totally understand why you want to check your bank account. I totally understand. That's what you need to let them know. I totally understand. When you tell them right away that you totally understand, when they're telling you they want to think about it, they're like, wow, this guy or this gal, she's all right or he's all right. You know, he totally understands. The guards kind of come down a little bit, and now you can ask a couple more questions, and you can say things like, I totally understand, Mr. Customer, that you have to think about it. Of course, it's a big deal. But let me ask you this. Is this the right package for photos? Is this the right package and coverage and everything for you? Oh, yeah, no, it is the right package. It's got the right amount of photos or the amount of hours or the amount of coverage. Oh, okay, no, so that's good. All right, so that's there. And is this the right album for you, or is these the right amount of prints for you? Oh, yeah, or you want a canvas print? Oh, yeah, no, this is the right, album and canvas print that we're getting and this and that. Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure, you know, that we have you on the right albums and on the right coverage and everything. And then, well, let me ask you a question. Is it the price? Ask them straight up, guys. So many photographers or salespeople in general, they're so afraid to touch this subject, but it must be touched. And you see how you do it? You do it by building rapport, not by going to price right away. You do it by building a little bit of rapport, asking a few questions, and then you go. Once you've asked a few questions, because you need to find out if they're on the right package. You need to find out if they're on the right albums or on the right coverage, or are they going to come for an hour? Are they going to come for 3 hours? What type of session is this going to be or not? So you need to find all those things out before you get to the price. The price is at the bottom, because if the other things are not in order, you need to address them and make sure those are in order. Then once those things are in order, like if a customer says, well, I'm not sure about the 6-hour package because we're going to do something at the church or we're going to do something. Okay, no worries. So you really need an 8-hour package instead of a 6-hour package. Yeah, this and that. Okay, well, we can look at it. You see what I mean? So that's fine. You acknowledge what the objection is, what's holding them back. And then once, okay, so an 8-hour package is really what you need, and you need X amount of prints, and you need this, and you need that. Yeah, exactly, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Is it the price? Right? And don't say anything after that. Just say, is it the price? And don't say anything. Just be quiet. Is it the price? And guess what? Most customers are going to say, yes, it is the price. You know, it is a little more than I wanted to spend, or it is a little more coverage, or I know everything's expensive, but I wasn't, expecting it to be this much, or I had a friend of mine that paid that much. You guys know how it is. You guys know the objections you're going to hear. Oh, well, I did that 3 years ago and it was only this, so I did it with this and I did it with that, or I'm a single parent, I'm doing it by myself, and it's this and it's that and it's this. But once you guys kind of single out the elephant in the room, the price, now you can start to think, okay, what do I want to do? You need to be processing what do I want to do with this client? Do I want to stand firm and tell her, okay, well, you know, I can't do it any lower than, I'm just picking a number, $1,000. I can't do it any lower than $1,000. I'm just picking a random number. Or, you know, that's where every photographer and every person and every salesperson is different in the whole wide world. Everybody's situation is totally different. So you need to figure out, what do I do with this customer? Do I want to be booked for this event or for this photo shoot? Do I have enough income or bookings in that month or that week? So that makes you kind of think, if you don't have anything going on that week or that month, you may want to consider maybe giving the customer a tiny little discount, maybe a 10% discount or less or something. Or before you even get to that, try throwing in like an album or try throwing in a print or something like that. Before you discount your price, try throwing in an album, an extra hour coverage, things that are very, they seem expensive to the customer, but to you, it's something that you could easily do. How's your bookings looking for that week or for that month? If they're weak, then you need to think of creative ways, like I just said, to try to book that customer. If you're strong and you have a lot of bookings and you have a lot going on that week or that month or whatever it is, then you don't need to really give anything away. Maybe give them a print, you know, to see if that kind of sweetens the pot for them. Maybe do this, do that. But if you're busy on the date, you don't necessarily have to discount your price. So it all depends. If you're busy, you know, you can kind of stand your ground and kind of feel the customer out. But if you're not busy, if you don't have anything going on, if you don't have much of a portfolio, you're going to do it on the low to grow your portfolio, to have more images on Instagram or on Facebook, to promote yourself. That's okay too, because that has value. Even though you're taking something off, you know, having those nice images at that nice hotel or that nice venue they're going to have, that means something to you as well. So you have to think, what do I want to do with this customer? You know, do I want to stand my ground? Do I have sufficient work? Do I have enough going on? Do I have a long portfolio of, or if you're an up-and-comer, if you don't have a lot going on, then again, you might want to try to wiggle a little bit, give them a few prints, give them a few things, even if you have to give them a 10% discount. All you guys have to do is just make sure that your price is priced correctly. And if they're priced correctly, giving someone a 10% discount is not that big of a deal. So that's what you need to realize. So this is what you say when they say it is the price. You tell them, okay, Mr. Customer, again, I totally understand. I totally understand. $1,000, again, I'm just using that number. $1,000 is a lot of money. But let me tell you something, Mr. Customer. $1,000 may be a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money for photography. Or $300 is a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money for a photo session. You try to just say, hey, listen, I understand that you might be on a budget. I understand that things might be tight. I understand you are doing this on your own. Trust me. I understand, Mr. Customer, but also understand me. Understand me. Understand that you're going to have professional photos of your baby, of yourself in your wedding or whatever it is, right? They came to you for a reason. Think about that. They came to you for a reason. There's a million photographers out there. They came to you for a reason. You must have something that drew them to you. So you have a little bit of pull there. So again, once you build rapport, once you get to chatting with the customers and the customers like you and they start to tell you a little bit more about them or about what's going on and about the situation, they can tell you what's going on and you can tell them what you may or may not do for them. I can be a little more selective or not on who I take, but don't get it twisted, guys. Even in 10 years after doing this, not everybody's just coming here and saying, oh, Pedro Pereira is the best photographer in the world. There is nobody else. We're just going to do it with you every day. No, that doesn't happen, guys. Even though I have a great reputation, even though I have outstanding work, I still have to sell the customer. I still have to sell the customer. You know, yes, is there, you know, here and there when somebody will call and say, hey, well, how much is your price for this or that, blah, 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 and you kind of book them and this and that. Yeah, those things happen. But most of the time, you have to sell the customer. You have to sell the client. They're kind of little in la-la land. You have to close them. You have to narrow down a date that works for them and works for you. You need to narrow down a price that works for you and it works for them, and a coverage that works for you and it works for them. So that's selling. You're doing a lot of selling to get the customer to finally, you know, invest. Now, if the customer, after all this, still says, let me think about it, then you don't want to push too much. You don't want to push too much, because now you have them on the right package. Now you have them kind of on the price range of where they want to be. You know, they're never going to be totally happy with the price. But, you know, now you kind of have them in the price range. And if they still, after all that, they still want to think about it, then don't push them. Don't push them. Photographers are 1 in a million. What customers are really going to remember is you, the individual. You know, what are you about? Your reputation, you know, the way you carry yourself, that first impression you made, whether that was in person or whether that was by phone. They're going to remember that first impression, and they're going to remember your reputation, and then they're going to remember everything else, you know, how nice your photos were, how nice your album was. And then with all that information, they're going to go ahead and make a decision. So you have to be ready to have that conversation with your customers, guys, with your potential clients. So I hope that helped you guys a ton. I'm going to bring you guys a ton of information and a ton of knowledge for you guys to feel comfortable, because I want you guys to go out there and conquer the day. I want you to get out there. You know, a lot of these things could be frightening. Could be frightening to talk to customers, to talk to people, and nobody likes to be rejected. Having pretty photos is one thing, and then having customers, selling the customer with you is another thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys are subscribing. Let's make this channel grow, guys. Make sure you subscribe. Please share this video so other people can see it. Comment, like, share, and turn on notifications so that you're notified when we have new content up.